Alrighty, boys. Well, this should be a fun one. We are now joined by diehard Leaf fan and Canadian comedian Rick Rowley. Thanks for joining us, bud. Appreciate it.
Hey, what's going on, boys? Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. You Caps guy too? I was talking to the guys before.
No, I am very much the Caps enemy.
He's the oddball.
I'm you're Pens guy, eh?
Yeah, big Pens guy. So
I got a lot of Pens fans on here. That's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm in enemy territory. I'm always the one that they like to make fun of, but you know what? Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can I say, man? When you lose to the Habs, like.
Yeah, we're gonna get. We won't touch on that, or else.
Oh yes, we will.
Maybe not.
Yeah, we will.
I'll get emotional.
So I'm just busting chops, man. I'm a Leafs fan, so I can't really chirp anybody, to be honest.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I don't mind the Leafs. I think the media kind of, maybe whores themselves out to them a little bit, but
strokes them a little bit, eh, boys?
Yep.
Yeah. Big Matthews fan though. I love Matthews.
Yeah.
Oh man, everyone loves fucking Poppy, man, and he's a pleasure to watch, boys. How about that stash?
Beautiful.
Oh man, yeah.
How about those calves? I mean, let's just talk about every body part he has.
I know, eh? Holy shit.
So, Rick, why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, how you got into hockey, and, how you became a Leafs fan?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Napanee, Ontario. Do you guys know that place?
Nope.
Okay.
No, you're talking to Americans.
Yeah, no. Well, the reason why, it might be on the map is because fucking Avril Lavigne's from Napanee, Ontario.
Oh.
So,
okay.
yeah, she blew it up a little bit. She used to always, talk about she was from there and stuff. So now kind of ruin it for me. Now I got to try and make it big. So I'll be known as Napanee's Pride and Joy. And, yeah, I'd always been a hockey fan growing up. My dad was a huge Habs fan. I was kind of like, fuck the Habs. And I was really a huge Leafs fan. But we couldn't afford tickets growing up. And so we would have to go to Sens games. But trust me, I absolutely despise the Sens. And then so I just I really enjoyed watching them. And I wanted to go to film school to try to be a sports reporter, but I kind of dicked around too much in school. My marks were just terrible. So I ended up just becoming a stand-up comedian, and I moved to Toronto to pursue it full time. I've been in Toronto about 5 years, been doing comedy for about 7-8 years, and I probably got more exposure in the last year than I did 7-8 years doing comedy, just because the way the internet works, you can just pump shit online. And the reason why I got into it was because I'd always be at the back of the room, at a comedy show, just doing fucking hockey stats on my phone. And then the comedian guys were just yo, just fucking make hockey videos. Cause I would try talking to them about hockey and shit. And they're just so I just went ahead, and it was literally my second ever hockey video I made, got shared up on Barstool Sports. And then Chicklets started posting a bunch of my stuff on the Instagram. And then from there, I kind of just started just pumping it on all my socials, and kind of managed to build quite a following. I miss stand-up, but I've basically done 6 shows in a year because of the whole pandemic. And I've done some very interesting shows, man, from literally doing stand-up at a cottage in North Toronto on someone's deck while dogs are going up and down the stairs. And I did stand-up comedy at a fucking swingers club too. So that was pretty sick.
That's a story in itself.
Yeah, what was that?
What was that like?
What's that whole experience?
Oh man, it was unreal. I started finally getting a little bit of cash for doing stand-up, and somebody asked me if I wanted to do a swingers club, and I was like, fuck yeah, I do. And it's the venue's right by the old Maple Leaf Gardens where I live now. I live right around there. And I got invited to do this swingers convention, and I didn't know that it was for anyone who doesn't know, swingers, that's a place where couples just throw their keys into a bowl and see who goes home with who. And the place was clothing optional, so I'm in the middle of doing my set, and then people are just naked, and I just remember they tell you when you're nervous to picture everyone naked.
Oh man,
yeah, you actually did that.
Yeah, I didn't really have to try there.
Yeah.
And then at one point, literally a couple started hooking up in the middle of my set. And I
Must
was
have
like,
been a good set.
well, that's what I was gonna say, man. Originally, I was gonna try to like truck through the joke. I was like, I think you just gotta address this a little bit, right? So we paused, and I remember thinking, man, your goal in comedy is to make people laugh, but if they start like hooking up in the middle of your set, you're doing something fucking right. So
Wow.
yeah, probably the craziest story I ever had with like stand-up comedy was definitely doing and they had all sorts of shit there, man. It's like a whole like scene I wasn't even aware of. So
Jesus. This is
yeah,
Canada?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
In Toronto, it's kind of where all the action is, man. Like we have those kind of places there. I don't know if you guys know any like swingers clubs near you, but they're a hoot, that's for sure.
I feel like the ones down here, like you don't hear about them. The people who like know about them just like know where to go and what to do, but they're definitely
Yeah.
there.
If they
Yeah,
sponsor us, we'll know about them.
well, I think it's definitely like a niche like demographic for sure, but they wanted to mix comedy and I guess like sex, so it was they paid me, and they also gave me a membership there, so I definitely checked it out a few times after that, that's for sure.
There you go.
Like,
There
Yeah.
you go.
Like
Nice.
personally, like if I heard laughter during any sort of intercourse, I would be like, okay, something's not going well, but I'm glad I'm glad it went well for you.
Yeah, no, like I said, for me, I was just like, oh man, this is like definitely going in the fucking memoirs and use it on like a beauty podcast like this. But when those things happen, I don't really get like, I just sit there and be like, okay, like I want to keep going with this, just see where this goes. So it was definitely a good time, man. So the stand up was just great, man. And then I've kind of more so just switched to doing online stuff because of the fact that you can't do comedy. And if I don't have like an outlet, dude, I'm just sort of like, it's kind of like what I'm in it for the long haul, right? So I don't like, I have to like post shit, and yeah. So that's kind of how I got into that. And I still love it once we're able to kind of like run shows more consistently. And I was actually supposed to go to the States for the first time right before the pandemic. I was going to go to New York and hit up some spots there. So yeah.
Are you on TikTok out of curiosity?
Yeah, I am. It's the same as my Instagram, just Rick Rowley 3, and that one is kind of like TikTok's for me is a little different. I also post like probably more small town stuff on there, just because the hockey demographic's kind of a little hard to crack on there. Like I have it online because that's sort of what everyone kind of like knew me for, whereas TikTok allows me to kind of be like a little more freak. I'll just talk about like small towns, like growing up, and yeah, so I do have both, but yeah, I would say Instagram's more of an intimate following, and like definitely more cool people follow me on Instagram than on TikTok.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel like there's definitely a different purpose for each, even though they're kind of similar. I was just curious because it feels like ever since the pandemic started, out of nowhere, we've got like 19-year-olds that are more famous than celebrities
Or 14-year-olds.
or 14-year-olds.
Boys, the thing I say to myself is just not to be bitter at that shit, but trust me, when I sit there and I see like some little fucking 18-year-old shaking their ass and shit like that, I'm like, buddy, this is content what I'm doing right here. Not like, I mean, I guess it's good content for like people's like uncles and shit like that, but like I don't like, I'm trying to like build something here, but you take it with a grain of salt, boys. That's all you do, and you kind of just keep going. So yeah, no, trust me, I definitely thought about that before. So
To each their own, there's no sense getting bitter over it, I guess. Makes sense.
no, man, it's some people, they take some rocks take a little bit longer to form and shit like that. And to be honest, man, like I prefer it that way because I'm starting to kind of like get a following now. But can you imagine like if you just get too big too soon and then you run out of ideas? Oh fuck, that
rough.
sucks, right? So it's like, so I'd rather kind of do like long game and shit like that. And I've kind of expanded a little bit and taken more chances, which is like a lot more than I ever did before. So there's like an old saying, you can never get fucking seen too soon, or I don't know the saying really, but it's a good one.
You're in the ballpark, so we'll count it.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. It's like something about persistence, boys,
There we go. That's the message behind it anyway. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. for
So
sure.
I feel like doing stand up like would be really, really challenging, and I would either like do well at it or like just like shit my pants while doing it. So like what's your preparation for that? Like do you like to sort of just feed off the audience, or are you like prepping for like multiple weeks for that show?
Yeah, well, when I first got into stand up, it was like, and if you ever try, like you'll figure out the exact same thing. It's like you're very by the script, and but then after a while you get comfortable on stage, and that's like finding your voice. So from there, I can't follow a script anymore. I can't. I've surpassed that level. I still bomb though, boys. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. I've had some terrible bombs, and one of my first ever bombs was like me. I had done really well in a competition, my first time ever doing stand-up. Just started, came like third place out of like 30 comedians, opened up for kind of a big name comedian in Canada, and I blanked out on stage. And and that sucks, but I think you find after your first bomb if it's like really for you. That's how you know if you're in it for the long haul, is that if you can handle that. So I went out back, just started fucking yakking in a bag, and I was not doing well. But then after a while, I got more comfortable, and yeah, I right before the pandemic, I was predominantly hosting a lot, and I loved it. Some comedians hate it because they're like, we can't do our jokes, and sometimes crowds are like, like a ruckus, as they say. But I love that because then I would just kind of like chirp back, and I would just get the room like just go, like just get the room buzzing. So yeah, it's like definitely hit or miss, but you're in it for the long haul. It's a marathon, not a race. So you evolve over time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, now, like you said, you're sort of just like, you can't go by the script anymore. So like when you get up on stage, you just know basically what you're going to do that night. Like, you've like your material and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
based on how
yeah,
the
yeah,
audience goes, you're like, okay, that didn't land as well. Maybe I'll switch to this or that or something like that.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's like it's definitely not improv, but in the sense you have your jokes already rehearsed, like you already know, and then you might, for instance, if the audience is a little more reserved, like let's say at a corporate gig, like sometimes the people are just like real tight, right? So like they don't like too much profanity, and I got enough fucking F bombs in my in my set. I said fucking F bombs, like I was trying to like not swear, but anyway, like I'll go like less aggressive, and then maybe not like as much, but that also takes time too. That's like reading the room. And let me tell you, sometimes when people are like eating it, it's like the most entertaining thing to watch, man, because like they're just struggling out there, they're sweating. And then to be honest, I think my fellow comedian friends love watching me bomb more than like watching me kill, because it's a lot more entertaining.
Yeah, no.
I get salty too, boys. I'm not gonna lie.
What, when you don't get reactions?
Oh yeah, yeah, man. I
Yeah.
used to like. You ever remember that old baseball video with that guy who grabbed the baseball? He was going on that like
Steve
water
Bartman.
tank. Yeah, like I used to have bombs like those, like where I'd kick garbage cans and shit like that. I'm like, man, there's no point like breaking your fucking toe and stuff like that. Like just learn to chill out a little bit. So I had to stop myself, because I'd have some tortorella snaps like right after after a bomb.
There we go. Johnny Torts.
Yeah, what a beauty.
I want to go back to your online presence. So you're just shy of 19,000 on Instagram, but you're followed by some pretty notable names. Looks
Yeah.
like Paul Bissonnette is a big fan of yours, which is arguably the best nate to have in the online world right now.
Yeah.
How quick has
Yeah.
this all kind of happened? Like, just out of curiosity.
Yeah. So it started off like last year, because I think it was like maybe a little more than a year ago. I'd gotten what was it, the whole the Barstool shout out, and then Chicklets started kind of like consistently posting my stuff. Like they went on a tear for like, I think it was like in like 4 months, they put me up there like 4 or 5 times. So it really helped me get a lot of followers. And then like Granelli and like it started like following me, and then Chicklets started too. And then it was kind of like, like I felt like they shared me enough times and I was cool, but I don't think it could have like really like went anywhere else from there. But it was still cool. Like I was really appreciated from there. But I don't really like, I don't like asking people for things. I get all shy with that. And then when I started doing my hockey roast, I torched the Islanders, and then fucking Kevin Connolly, someone tagged him, and then he chimed in, and then he was like he followed me. He's like, man, I fucking love this shit. And then he actually asked me to roast the Missing Curfew Boys, on the second ever podcast. So that was a little intimidating because like, you know, I grew up playing like those child video games with like, you know, like Jimmy Hayes, Shane O'Brien, and like Scotty Upshaw. He's like, yeah, roast them now. So I did, and then they all liked, and they started kind of following me. So it's cool. Like, it's cool to have like those people kind of like following you and shit. But I'm also kind of trying to build my own thing. Unless like, you know, obviously if I ever got offered something that would change. But Ricky's a free agent, and he's always going to keep working to try to get signed somewhere, you know, whatever that might be. It doesn't have to be, you know, those two places, although that would be fucking sick.
It's a contract year, baby. Every year's a contract year.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So at the same time too, I kind of, you know, I'm kind of trying to take a little bit more chances. It's funny you're popping out the number. I'm probably going to lose some followers on my newest video because I fucking I made just a joke about the fucking Ontario lockdown thing. We shut everything down. I don't know what it's like for you guys.
We're pretty similar where we are.
Yeah, like
so
Baltimore especially, like it went from being like lockdown, and then like in 6 months everything was normal, and then it's sort of like going back the other way now.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's very like, at least I don't know what it's like for you guys, and I don't like talking about the COVID, and I kind of also don't like doing that shit too much anyways, because I'm trying to get like a break from, or give people a break from all that stuff. But here it's kind of a little crazy how you can go into like a fucking Starbucks, but you can't play shinny hockey. So I just made a video saying I think being for the boys is essential. So we'll see if I get some followers or I lose some. I'm guessing the latter, but you never know.
You gotta take chances, like you said.
Quality, not quantity, baby.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's kind of like you get to a point where it's like you kind of start to know your audience a little bit, so you can kind of you feel a little more comfortable taking chances. But boys, I'll tell you, for all the love I get a lot of fucking hate messages, man. Like,
oh yeah, well, that's the internet. It's just
exactly, you can't please can't please everybody.
No, but literally people going out of their way, like DMing me, telling me that like, you're a fucking piece of shit, like your stuff is awful. And then I pulled the line. I don't normally do this shit, but I saw Kevin Connolly use it on somebody, so I did too. And I was just like, yeah, I don't deal with people with only 600 followers. And then the guy just went off. Yeah, he went off on me. He's like, imagine being 29 years old or in your late 20s still doing TikTok and Instagram videos. I'm like, actually, I'm fucking 30.
It's like, well, I'm doing that and I don't need a regular job. So I think I enjoy my life pretty well. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I get it, boys. But at the same time, too, it's like, I only cried in the shower like a little bit when those lines were being said. But at the same time, too, boys, like I'm too far deep into this anyways, man. Like I used to have like jobs that I like worked. Like I worked in a school, man. Like most people don't believe that when I tell them.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like I mentored like youth and stuff like that and all that shit. But you know, we kind of lost the job, the funding and stuff. So I'm kind of like in it for the long haul now, man. It sort of pushed me into the direction.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you once we wrapped up there that, you know, you kind of got this brand now, and like you said, you got a following. You kind of understand who your following is, who likes you. So what's your plan going forward to kind of keep propelling this?
Well, I started a number of things this year to kind of just expand the brand a little bit. Like I started my own podcast too. That one I don't really have guests on it though. It's just kind of me talking, mostly because I haven't figured out how to get guests on there. So I might ask you guys after this how to do that. But
yeah, definitely.
What's it called?
Yeah, the pod is one thing I've been doing. I started some merch, and just like, to be honest, like I work with like some like companies have kind of like reached out to me and stuff, and like pumping shit, which is pretty cool. But I would be lying to you if I said that, you know, right off the bat you make like a lot of money from this. It's, you mostly have to do it because you love it. and then it's kind of like, hey, the other stuff is an added bonus. So like, yes, I do. I have, and I still continue to make money off it, but it's obviously not anywhere like near where I'd want to be. Like, I want to obviously kind of keep going and elevating. So just that, man, I kind of think within the next couple of years, I'll probably be able to hopefully like tour at least across Canada, because I've already started doing that a little bit with we have a chain up here called Yuck. Sent me to Alberta, and I don't know anything about Alberta, but they fucking love me up there, man. Like, it's a lot of like kind of like hick redneck guys that fucking pick up trucks.
It's good old
hacking
boys.
darts. Yeah, good old boys. So out west, they really like me. So, you know, maybe tour Canada. It sucks though, because a lot of Canadian comedians, they have to go to the States because you guys have such a bigger, better market than we do. With
Interesting.
comedy.
Interesting.
What's that?
No, I was just saying that's interesting because I don't know. I just never really would have thought of that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I got a couple of guys that moved down to the States, and they're all like, New York, that's where you got to go for like the comedy, LA for like TV, but like honestly, man, the amount of people that make a sick living from Canadian comedy, you could probably count on like fucking two hands. And you guys there, it's like you have the money in the industry, so people are getting like TV shows and like and all that shit. So I don't even know if you guys know any Canadian comedy shows. Do you know any? Like,
I'm a diehard Letterkenny fan. I fucking love that show.
Yeah, it's a good
right.
show.
Oh yeah. And I got a lot of people who say that they think I kind of try to fucking rip them off. Like,
Not at all.
No, I've only watched one episode of Letterkenny. I actually know Squirrely Dan too. He's a comedian in Canada, but I purposely kind of like try to avoid watching it because even when I was doing like my hockey chirps, like I never knew that was like a thing that they did. So I try to write my own because I don't want to get like influence. I'm a huge Trailer Park Boys fan, so
I love them too. They're like,
yeah.
They're the best. Like when, when we were in college, we used to just like sit around for hours, not doing anything that we were supposed to do, but just watching Trailer Park Boys. I mean, it's so funny.
So every once in a while you get like a Canadian show that just like kind of like just pops kind of internationally, but obviously in Canada and quite a bit in the States. I know Trailer Park Boys, they've been able to go to like Europe and shit like that. But to be honest, the shows that do really well, like they play into the Canadian stereotypes. Like we wouldn't have, like a show like I'm trying to think what's something I've been watching a lot. I've been watching kind of like Workaholics. We wouldn't have
Good
a show
show.
like
Classic
we
show,
wouldn't have that in Canada. It has to be like a Canadian stereotypical show, or it's got to be the cleanest, most fucking lame ass comedy show in Canada. Like honestly, if you saw some of them, you'd be like, man, this shit sucks.
Yeah, PG rated, something like that.
Yeah. That's what we're about, man. Like it's who we are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanted to kind of shift gears here a little bit to your Leafs fandom.
Yeah.
If you want to talk a little bit about, how you grew up a Leafs fan. I think you said that your dad was a Habs fan, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So my dad he's from Montreal, and I don't know. I mean, I have an okay relationship with my dad. I don't know if it was like some sort of like fuck you to him, but something clicked. I started watching hockey in about I think it was 98, 99. It's when I started watching the Leafs, and I was just like diehard. Like that was the Sundin era. That was like Cujo, if you remember him.
Yeah. Cabernet,
It was
all that.
probably it was probably the closest we were to ever winning a Stanley Cup was like during those years. Because
that's when they had Gilmore too, right?
Well, we got Gilmore back in like he was actually the early 90s, but we got him back again in like 2002. He didn't play very long.
Yeah.
But there was no salary cap, so they could just buy their way to a fucking, a playoff series. And it was like, watching those playoff series against the Senators, they were always like so like hype. But we went to the Eastern Conference Finals when I watched them twice, and once we were we got shunned by Buffalo. It was Hasek. He was just way too fucking much for us. But the year that we against the Carolina Hurricanes, I think that was like the year where we should have done it. Like we took them to 6 games. The Hurricanes were kind of like a bit of an underdog. And I just, honestly, man, like I just started worshiping the Leafs. Huge Sundin guy. And then the dark years happened. And that was like 7 straight playoff or 7 years without the playoffs. Then there was like a lockout year. And then finally we just started to kind of rebuild, but then we fell off the map again. And then when I moved to Toronto, I needed a job. And I was like, man, I want to watch Leafs games. So I'm just going to get a job serving at Scotiabank Arena. So I literally got a job hawking beers inside the stands, going like, "Hey, hit," just so I could watch fucking Leafs games for free, bro.
That's amazing.
And like, yeah, so I worked 41 games a year. Most of these people paid like $200 to get in. I'm sitting there and I purposely work like right behind the bench, so I get a nice little fucking central view of like the game, and I watch like amazing games that have happened there, including the E-Bug game that happened earlier this year.
They're like, Rick, you're doing a great job, but you gotta stop trying to sell the opposing team beer. Like, focus on the fans.
Boys, I would like right before the anthem, I'd be like, okay, make sure you get right here, so that when the game started, I'd purposely just be right in the center, so I get the benches on each side. And it was like, the atmosphere was like fucking great, man. But I'll tell you one thing, kind of in the 100s at the least, we got a lot of business guys there, but every once in a while you would get those, like, not just the business dudes, you get people from like out of town who would just drop an arm and a leg for these tickets, and they would fucking snap, boys, if they weren't playing well. Like,
I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, man, that the game, the E-Bug game especially, where it's like I watched like 18,000 fans like just break down, bro. Like, I was laughing. Like, I honestly, the more, like, the worse it was getting, the fact that we couldn't fucking rip on this Zamboni driver that works for our team. Like, him and I literally get the same fucking paychecks. I was laughing the more it was getting worse, because I was watching these people stress out and shit, and I was like, no, man, this is funny. Keep it going. So people were throwing shit. They were like booing the team, and I was like, I love it, man. I love it.
So they should have pulled you down into the goal.
Buddy, I used to be a tenny. Like,
really?
up.
I was gonna ask you what position you played.
Yeah, it's crazy. I played for like a rep team when I first started on a reserve, like outside of Napanee, called the Deserano Bulldogs. And someone who listens to my podcast put me on their fucking Wikipedia page, which is hilarious, because I got buddies who got drafted in the O that don't like have any like mention about it. I'm like, okay, like whatever. But man, they called me Red Light Rowley for a reason. So
oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, boys, I was pretty fucking dust in between the pipes. I'm not gonna lie.
Did you? What? I'm blanking on the E-Bug goalie's name. Ayers.
David Ayers.
David Ayers. Did you like know him or ever run into him? Like,
I'd seen him around the rink, because like I think he worked for like the Marlies directly, but it's all Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, and he like would get tickets to the games. I'd see him sometimes up in like the 300s, and then like next thing, he could go to games after that. Not because, I mean, if I would have seen him, I would have dumped a fucking beer on the guy. No, I would have probably shook his hand. But dude, apparently there was like rumor they were gonna make like a fucking Disney movie about him and shit. I'm like, oh my God, like the Leafs, like they just know how to fucking just, boys, like give you mad anxiety, make you snap like no other, man. I cannot decide it.
That's a hell of an experience. Not many people can say that they were at that game.
Yeah. No, I worked some pretty good ones. I mean, side note, like the Raptors, I worked when they were in the NBA Finals, which was pretty cool. I would see like a lot of like hockey players and former hockey players like actually at the game. Like I sold a bunch of beers to Danny Alfredsson.
Oh,
holy
sick.
shit, that's so
yeah,
sick.
man,
cool.
Awesome.
And dude, I hated him because he used to be like huge like Sens guy, right? And he obviously like, he mocked like Sundin one time about the whole throwing the stick thing, but he was like the nicest guy in the world. And it was funny because the son was there, and he kept ordering beers for his son, and I didn't know what to do, because I was like, I'm a huge hockey guy, right? So I was like, I know his son, like I know he's got a son that plays like junior, and like but I don't know how old he is. So instead of asking his son for ID, I just looked him up on Elite Prospect. And I was like, oh fuck, like this guy guy's underage. I'm serving an underage fucking kid.
Oh my god!
But it's Daniel Alfredsson's son. What are you gonna say? No?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't care if he
Oh my
plays
god!
defense. Like, he's a huge beauty. So I was like, I'm gonna keep serving like the sauce to you and your son. Like, I didn't even bring up the elite prospects thing, but I knew his son was underage. And every time I fucking got like a beer, we'd like shake hands, and then he just had these fucking mighty grip. And I was like, man, this guy's a beauty. Like, I used to hate him, but he's like, he's so for the boys.
Did he tip you well?
Oh yeah. Dude, it was like, so I don't know what fucking beers are like at like Caps games, but we have $20 beers.
If you're going with the
Literally
big boys
fucking,
at
like Heineken's are like $17.50 every time.
Yeah,
they're like bigger than like tall cans, but they're like the Heineken's were like $18.50. Like every time he was throwing me like $50, which
okay.
is like an $11 tip, and I was like, man, like I'll take it. And like,
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah, like it was more like, and a couple times I think he would throw like extra like bills, whatever's in his like wallet and shit. But he was just like so nice, man. And like, yeah, I seen like a couple other guys there, like Max Domi, like Kyle Dubas, like fucking just like a bunch of guys like Taylor Hall and like just guy. You just be like, yo, what's up, boys? So it's pretty sick.
Don't take this the wrong way, but that might be the most Canadian thing I've ever heard. Is instead of IDing someone, you look them up on elite prospects to see what birth year they are in juniors. That's just insane.
Yeah, man. And the other thing that was actually pretty jokes was, this is actually has to do with the Raptors, but in my section, I had fucking your former president Barack Obama in my section, which was nuts because I figured he would be like in like some sort of like private box to try to get away from like people and shit. So I was like hawking beers, and then I got like within like probably about like 10 feet away, and then he just like looked at me, and I just looked at him. I was like, sup, bud?
Did he give you a nod back?
Yeah, he just like nodded at me, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna say anything else because I'll probably get like fucking tased.
Like,
dude, it's like when you're around like the US president. Like I was on a flight with Jimmy Carter one time. And so like you see like the president, and you're like, oh, whoa, holy shit. And then like you look at the like guy who's like pretending to read his like book next to him, and then you see like the wire in his ear, and then you realize the guy is like completely jacked and probably has like a Mac 10 like under his arm anyways. So
oh yeah, no, I wasn't. Other than sup, bud, there was nothing else I was gonna say to fucking Obama, because I was just like, dude, it was kind of intimidating. Like when you have that much like fame and like power, and like I'm just like, I don't want to fuck up like any. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I just didn't really know what else to say.
He's like a really, really funny guy too, though. So I'm sure like he like appreciated it.
Oh yeah, like I seen some videos of him and shit like that. Like I don't know. I think he did shit with Kane and Peele or whatever, and like he seems like a down to earth kind of guy. So, anyways, that was like probably the biggest celeb I ever had in like my section, but definitely some of the hockey boys. I had Ty Domi in my section one time.
Oh
yeah, that's awesome.
He was probably pretty easy to pick out. It's like, oh, I know exactly who you are with that dome right there.
Oh yeah, man. I asked him too if he could hand the beer down to somebody else, because we do it on an honor system. If someone gets a beer like 6 or 7 seats in, you go like, hey, can you pass it? So I'm just asking Domi, I'm like, yo, man, can you sauce this over? And he's just like fucking staring at me. I'm like, please. Yeah, I mean, we already know he's beat the shit of a fan before, so I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Kessel, out of curiosity?
No, that was so he was already gone by the time I started working there. But I heard that he made some pretty big friends with the hot dog guys and in the concession stands, and he usually would get like, I don't know, rumor has it was like 3 or 4 or maybe like a baker dozen hot dogs before the game. But
oh my god.
He goes out there and gets 2 and 2.
Yeah. He came back to when he won the cup with Pitt, though. He came back to Toronto and he brought the cup. He brought the cup to like a bar and shit. He still has like friends in Toronto, but I don't know. I think we boo him at Scotiabank, to be honest.
Jeez.
Yeah. A little bit of a rough crowd, boys.
So, like, if you had to pick, like, a moment from all your time, either growing up and watching the Leafs or going to the games while you're working and watching them, what's, like, the high point that you got to see and what's the low?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, initially when you said high points about hockey, I was just gonna say like probably shit to do with Canada because like if I'm picking a team that I like, it's only Canadian like Team Canada. It's actually one shit. But for the Leafs, I would say like some of the bigger moments was definitely Sundin's big goals. Like he had a couple of one was in the 2004 playoffs. Now we only went to the second round, but we were down to Philly, and he was always like a big time like guy that would just like score the big goal. So he got that one to tie the game up. We ended up losing in overtime. I think Ronick fucking ripped corn, but and then in 2002 against Carolina, Game 6, it was like there was a huge scramble in the net, and like Urbe's just like on the ground, and Sundin just picks it up and fucking scores. And I just remember when those things happen, like you were just like you lose all control and you get so happy. I mean, as of recently, like to be honest, like there hasn't really been like a Leafs I watch it with like a lot more like anxiety now, man. So it's hard to get happy because you're afraid that it's gonna go away. But I would say the toughest moments have definitely been again, I thought the e-bug thing was hilarious, but I would say kind of just like not being able to get over that hump. Like it was always frustrating because when you lose those big game 7s against like the Bruins that they did, and then even Columbus last year, they're teams that I think that the Leafs really compete like well against. Like Columbus on paper, there's no reason why they should have lost that series.
Felt like it was just like a matchup thing. Like Columbus, for whatever reason, just matched up really well against them. But if it had been anyone else that they drew, they would have just rolled past them.
Exactly, man. And even with like, and I know that they're well disciplined. I know they play well, but I'm not buying it. Like you have a team that's like, at least as long as we've had Poppy and those guys, man, we've been favorites to go really deep. And it's like then you go to those big game 7s, and they're always in fucking Boston, and then we lose them, and the next day it's just like you're just sitting there being like, okay, I've sort of lost interest in the playoffs a little bit. Like it's now we gotta wait and another like 4 or 5 months until hockey's back, and those just really suck. Like I noticed it last year. I thought fans kind of I think they pulled back a little bit because I really do think that when they got Tavares, everyone was thinking like, hey, like we're now going to the Stanley Cup Finals. And it's like you can't even get past the first round. Like it gets frustrating for sure. So I would say that those are kind of like the low moments. But hey, man, like even like look at the fucking Bills fans, right? Like I know it's football, but look how long they had to wait, and some things just take like a really long time in order for you to, start seeing results and all the adversity and shit. So I don't know.
Hopefully they gotta wait longer. You're talking to guys in Baltimore.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Oh yeah, big game.
Big game tomorrow.
And I heard there's a lot of snow in the forecast, so gotta love a snow game.
Yeah, you guys don't know how to handle that shit, eh? Fucking Buffalo's like the closest city, I think, probably to Canada. So it's like they're prepared for sure.
What's your prediction this year for the Leafs? What are you thinking?
Well, now it's kind of me listening to like other guys. Like for instance, I follow a lot like the Missing Curfew pod, to be honest. Like I really like, especially because like, those boys gave me some love, but I've been listening to kind of what they've been saying. I'd have to agree that it's very wide. The Canadian division is very wide open this year.
Yeah.
It's not really a lot of teams with like disciplined teams, right? Like the Oilers, they can beat you 7-6. The Leafs can beat you 7-6. Vancouver kind of like that too, even though they got Quinn Hughes, but it's not really a disciplined D. So I expect the Leafs to come out of that Canadian division. I just do. Like they are on paper the best team. But I don't know because I found out that the Stanley Cup Finals could be like 2 East teams against each other, and like
it's weird. This year is just weird.
Yeah, so I don't really know. Like anything could happen once it's the Final Four. All I can say is that that's what we had to do as Canadians. We'd be like all Canadian division to make sure we get a spot in the Final Four.
Give us at least 4 in the playoffs.
At least 4 in the playoffs. Yeah, that's
so I don't know. Like I mean. So we're automatically guaranteed a Final Four series. So I would say it's Toronto's series or Toronto's division to win. But I just don't see it with Edmonton. Like they kind of dog it a lot. And like I don't know, maybe Montreal is okay, but I would say
they're pesky.
They are. I think I fucking hate the Habs, but I think Bergevin made some really like good moves. So I think, yeah, I would just say Toronto naturally should be able to come out of that division like no problem. But then, your guess is as good as mine. Once you get like, who knows, probably like Colorado, that Central or that
Yeah.
Tampa division is fucked. Like it's so shit.
It's weird too. It's just like half the teams are like they're so spread out and it's like so top
Yeah.
heavy.
You know what it seems like? It seems like that Central division was just like a blended division. They're just like, okay, we're gonna
It's the
take all
kitchen
teams.
sink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
literally
no
what we
one-
said.
Yeah, that no one really gives a fuck about. I mean, I guess the Lightning are like wagons, but we'll put Tampa and Dallas there because they were in the Stanley Cup Finals. After that, we don't give a fuck who's in that division. So
Yeah.
my guess would be, you're looking at possibly Colorado, Tampa. I'm hoping fucking the Leafs. But, I mean, it could also be Vegas or St. Louis in that West. Like, that top three is just heavy. And then the East is kind of also wide open, so you don't know. Like, I don't know. What do you boys think?
Dude, like you talk about watching the Leafs with anxiety, this division is keeping us up at night.
Yeah. The Pens are fucked.
It's
We're screwed.
brutal.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, man. Like, a lot of people are, like, kind of projecting the Pens to be on the outside looking in, and that's nuts to say that when you have a
Yeah.
generational talent like Sid and Gino, and then you're like, I mean, they're only 30, like, what, like 33, 30, like, they're not, like,
Yep. 33 and
but-
34.
but the league is just, like, so competitive now in that division. Like, I feel bad for the Sabres, man. I honestly do, because
Yeah.
They
had
like
potential.
if they had stayed in the Atlantic, I could see them making the playoffs, and now they're
For
like,
once,
Absolutely.
yeah.
they're like really like you're gonna fucking throw us in with the basically
This year,
every
yeah.
good team from the Metro.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a fucking prank, man. To say straight up, man. Like, all right, let's get you another fucking 10 years without the playoffs, boys. But apparently, it'll just be like that for this year, I think. I would assume
Yeah.
it's going to go back. I don't know. It depends what the whole fucking, I don't know, what is it, vaccine situation looks like, I guess.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, I
next-
mean, I would assume that whenever this is all closer to being over and we can have fans back and all that, we can probably go back to the normal divisions. I think this is probably just temporary, but we'll see. It's tough to tell a team like Buffalo just like, yeah, be patient for another
Yeah.
year or two.
I mean, oh man, and every time that happens too, it's like you always feel bad for like some of the star players. So like I kind of feel like Eichel sort of had it up to his fucking tits with like excuses about like, all right, next year, boys, next year, and he's probably just sitting there and be like, get me the fuck out of here right
Yeah.
now.
I
It's
don't blame
cold.
him.
There's nothing to do, and I have
Yeah.
no one to help me.
Yeah.
I know, man. I know. I feel for the kid, but you never know, right, man? It could be some fucking upsets this year.
Gotta ask,
So-
do you at all sports bet or not really?
Dude, I did it once and I lost like $400.
Jesus.
I was
Yeah.
like, you know what, boys? I'm just gonna try to take it easy. Like, I used to do a little bit of like pro line, but I was just I would just throw heavy bets, and then because I was so confident I would lose them, so I kind of it's a slippery slope for me, man. I got a bit of an addictive personality. Like, I used to hack mad darts, so if I gamble once, the fucking
Yeah.
floodgates open.
Yeah. Oh, then maybe you shouldn't listen to our weekly picks.
Ours is like a little bit of the opposite. Like I won $10 the first time, and I'm like, oh, I'm hooked. Here we go. Let's ride.
Oh yeah, once you win,
Yeah.
That's how they get you. I'll listen to your boys' picks for sure. I might have to try to like do like, I don't know, get a little pot for myself, like maybe fucking $20. Like that's it, man. So
Just gotta make it so you're spending the same like $50, losing it, winning it back, losing it, winning
Yeah.
it back. Nothing
name of the game.
changes, just for the fun of it.
Exactly, man. I get way too like invested in that shit. I just feel like, but I mean, I respect it. Like, there's some people who just like absolutely kill it. They got an eye for like, things like that. But I'd rather just do fantasy, man, because I'm really into like trading players and shit like that and all that. So,
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Do you have a fantasy team this year?
I have a couple actually. I was kind of like, man, because I lost a couple of my gigs with COVID, obviously. The school gig I worked at in Scotiabank Arena, so I got a little bit more time on my hands. So a bunch of like people online just asked me to join their hockey pool, so I just did. So for every fucking hockey pool I'm in, my team name's Your Mom's Aho. And I have Sebastian Aho on every single one of the teams. So it's kind of like a joke, but they're like, I mean, he's a good player. It's not like it's like too much of a joke, but so I just put like, I just do like $25 ones. I like too much. So yeah, I'm in like 3 or 4 hockey pools. I don't even know the people really that well, but I just like, just for fun. So
It's awesome.
Like that's the backbone of like a great fantasy hockey team, though, is like you have to have a killer name.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was gonna go with Bear Backstroms, and I came up with that last year. I was actually really impressed with myself. I mean,
That's a good one.
Some of them you hear like from other people, so you don't know if like whatever. Your Mom's Aho was given to me. I'm not gonna lie. Somebody told me, they're like, and I was like, man, that's just fucking unreal. But
That's gold.
yeah, that's gold.
Honestly.
Another one that's like really sick is No Regret Skis. I didn't get that one though. So
That's amazing.
yeah, so I'd probably do that maybe next year. But you gotta have a good team, boys, good team name, and that's it, man. I think the one I'm in last night, I drafted, it was through like ESPN. Like, dude, I got the first pick, so naturally I went with McJesus, and I got Crosby on the team. So I'm like, how do you fucking miss on that one?
Yeah, you can't lose.
Yeah, exactly, man. So it's pretty sick.
He looked pretty good the other night, McJesus. Just a casual 3 in 2 periods.
Oh man, he's just like, I mean, he's right from Toronto, like right around the area and stuff. I know people who's seen him like grow up, and apparently he was just like in a league of his own. Like he wasn't like, he was always playing with like people like 2 years older, and he was like schooling them on the ice. And it's just like, he really is. I know generational gets thrown around, but it's like Crosby, and then in my mind it's McJesus is like the next one. I mean, McKinnon's close. I'm not gonna lie. Like McKinnon's just sick, but he's just like, I really do think he's gonna go down as being like maybe like one of the top 5 best players to ever play the game.
Talent-wise, I think for sure. I think it's a no-brainer. We talked earlier this year about like, I think like the Hockey News magazine ranked McKinnon ahead of him in like their like top 50 players, and it's definitely getting closer. But I think when you look at like talent-wise, it looks like a video game character. Like I think we would compare that to like when Lamar Jackson's running the football for the Ravens.
Yeah.
Like it's someone who's using a cheat code or something. He's just so
Absolutely.
far ahead.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and I think that just shows how much talent there is in the league now, because I've also heard people say like Draisaitl might like win the Hart over McJesus, and you're like, yes, I get it, like, like, but I just think he's like, I'm telling you, I watched him at Scotiabank Arena. Like I watched him like up close and personal. He's just way ahead of like everybody else. So I think too that if you put him on a team that was like, capable of like going a little bit further than fucking the Dusty Oilers, he would have already had like a couple cups under his belt right now. But what do you do?
Yeah, hopefully they'll get it together for him, or maybe he'll just leave. Honestly, that way I could actually stay up and watch the East Coast time games.
Yeah, no, that would be sick, man. I mean, when when Johnny T came here, it was huge, man. Everyone was like, oh man, like he's one of, because and most people don't know this, but in junior, like he was breaking Gretzky's record, but I just don't think Johnny T ever turned into the guy that like he was in junior. But I mean, it was such a big deal then. But who knows, man? Maybe fucking McJesus will come home, baby.
Dude, World Juniors Johnny T like lived rent free in my head. I was I was in like middle school, high school. I was like on my knees in front of the TV, like pulling my hair out. It was bad.
Oh yeah, I mean he was sick, but I just think it's kind of like, I think the problem. This is what I would say. I mean, you boys didn't exactly ask me this, but I'll dissect the buds. Is that they kind of got a little bit of a reputation of like, getting the big tickets, like handed to you. And it's like, they just get worshipped. You know what I mean? Like we've seen Austin Matthews, like fucking hangs out with Bieber. He's got fucking Quadzilla going, posting photos of of his sexy ass and shit like that. And girls just fucking but it's just like you come to Toronto, you're worshipped like that. You don't have that extra fucking push. That's just my opinion. Is that they don't? I don't think that they've had enough adversity. They know how to push each other, and I think that's what happened with Johnny T. Everyone just got handed this money, and that's why they're not gonna fucking. I mean, hopefully Jumbo Joe and those vets can push them a little bit, but I don't know, boy. Do you guys see that in Toronto? Like, I'm actually curious what people in the States think about the Leafs.
That's an interesting take, like an interesting kind of explanation. I've never really thought of it that way before, but like as you talk about it, I could totally see that being a bit of an issue for the squad.
I feel like for us, we've made the comparison a couple times to the Leafs being like the New York Yankees in the sense that they can like buy up all this talent, or in more recent light, the Dallas Cowboys in the sense that they call it America's team and everyone worships them and they get these primetime games all the time, but then they tend to sort of underperform, I think is a good comparison.
Yeah. And that's just it, right? It's like we have something do you guys know about TSN? I don't.
Yeah. Okay. If you follow hockey close enough.
Yeah.
Okay. I figured you did. I didn't mean to go fucking full Forrest Gump with that question, but it's people call it like Toronto Sports Network because everyone in Canada, like it makes everyone hate Toronto more because of the fact that those guys, those panelists are always pumping the Leafs. Like they're always talking about what they're up to. No, like they don't really talk about the Montreal Canadiens or like no one cares about the Sens, bro. Like nobody cares about the Sens. They're in buttfuck Canada. So when you add that all together, and then on top of that too, it's like our fans are known as being very big loudmouths and very cocky. And yeah, I just think it rubs off on the players a little bit too. I think they know that they're going to get pumped. So they can kind of just like dog it a little bit, like, and still get worshipped.
Yeah, we get that. And it makes sense. The second you said that, I thought exactly what Nick said. Yankees, Cowboys, kind of that similarity. So
yeah, I would say the Leafs are definitely like that for sure.
So when you say like you talk about the Sens, like they're like outside of Ottawa, they're not like in the city. Like the Caps for us they used to play in Landover, Maryland, which is where the Washington football team plays now. And then they moved into Chinatown in DC. And that's sort of when everything exploded. Is that something you think like the Sens need to do in order to, like, I don't know, like fill their arena? Because I feel like they've had a huge problem doing that for like the last couple years.
Oh yeah, I mean they were in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pens a few years ago. They couldn't even fill their fucking barn up. Like that's ridiculous. Well, first off, their owner's like notoriously known for being like a huge cheapskate. I lived in Ottawa for 5 years, so I would go to like Sens games, but mostly just to like literally one time I went to a Washington and Ottawa game and I went there with a Leafs jersey on, was like screaming like "Go Leafs, go!" And then my buddy fucking pushed me. I fell on top of like a dad and his little kid. And they just kicked us out of the Scotiabank Arena. And but here's the thing. I probably should not have started with that. That's the end. But before that, they were warning us because we were swearing. And I was like, this is the only NHL team that would actually get pissed off at you for fucking swearing at a game, right? But they got it. So we would, if you would, very soft. So if you take a rip out to Canada, so that's where it is. It's about 30 or 40 clicks outside of Ottawa. So basically like about half a pack of darts and and like a bunch of like beers, man. So you take like the bus out there. It was just so long to get out there, and then to trek back, it would be like an hour and a half each way. And you're like, I don't like this isn't even really worth it for me. So I would assume that if they built like an arena downtown, like the Capitals did and stuff, they would be able to get more fans out to their games, because it's just very hard. Like even the Patriots, I know they play in Fox, but they play 1 week, right? When you're playing 3 or 4 games a week and you got to do an hour commute out to buttfuck Canada. Like no one wants to do that. So
Is it like, I know it's
that's
like
why
30 or 40 minutes out there. Like I'm probably like 30 or 40 minutes on the DC Metro away from Cap One Arena. Is it like hard to get to? Like they don't have like a train or something you could take? Like you said, bus. So
no, just an express bus. That's what
okay,
I mean. So
wow.
like so me like in university, if we get tickets, there's one time where I got, and this is like when they were kind of like desperate to get fans into the bar, and I got 3 tickets, me, my brother, and my other buddy for $18. And I said to my buddy, I was like, "Hey, you owe me a beer." He's like, "No, man, the beers are fucking $10. It's not a fair deal." So, like, when your beers are more expensive than your tickets, right? And it's like, yeah, it's not easy access. I don't imagine the players who go out there. Like, I've listened to like hockey podcasts, right? When people go to like cities like, like LA and stuff, there's lots of things to do, like Florida. What are you gonna do in Canada? Like it's like they have like, I don't know, like I think they got like a Krabby Joe's and like like
Yeah.
like an Arby's and shit, bro. Like there's not.
That's it.
What are you gonna do out in Canada, man? It's just.
Yeah.
I just think it's a terrible setup, but the owner doesn't want to do anything, man. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate the insight. Nick, Mac, do you guys have any more questions before we wrap up?
I was curious what you thought. So obviously the Leafs have made some off-season acquisitions. You bring in guys like Simmons, Jumbo, and Jimmy Vesey.
Yeah.
Which one of those do you think, and then like guys like TJ Brody too, which one of those do you think is going to impact the Leafs the most this year?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think originally everyone would have said Brody, just because of the fact that we needed D fucking more than Cheryl Friday night at the Legion Hall. But I think Thornton and Simmons were just kind of good character pickups. They say the terms like glue guys. You know what I mean? So obviously Thornton isn't where he used to be, but that's okay because he can kind of go in there and. I don't know, maybe make sure like Marner isn't playing so much like Call of Duty or whatever. I don't know like what the role was, but I do know that like for instance, the other night we're down 3-1 and then Simmons drops the gloves and then we end up making a comeback and we tie the game at 3 and then we eventually go down 4-3, we tie it back up. It was a roller coaster game, but that's what we were missing before is that when you go down in those like 2-goal, 3-goal games, the game's starting to slip away a little bit. You need a guy who just drops him and it's like, all right, let's get the boys back in here. So I think those moves are really going to help, like getting like the grit. But I don't know. I mean, a 7-game series, there's a lot of teams that have like just a team full of warriors. Like look at St. Louis, look at like Tampa. So in our division, it's great, but once you get to the playoffs, it's a whole different beast.
Yeah, absolutely. That, like you said earlier, that division is up for grabs. So
absolutely, yeah.
What's your like optimistic result for the Leafs this year? What's your prediction?
Stanley Cup, baby.
There you go.
No, I mean, I would love to say that. I don't know if it gets done. To be honest, I could see us being the team in the Final Four. And from there, boys, I don't want to jinx anything else, man. Let's just say it's anyone's opportunity once there's 4 teams left. So Final Four, though, is what I'm predicting, at least.
Alrighty. Well, thanks again, man. We really appreciate this. Anytime you want to jump on again, feel free to let us know, and we'll definitely have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely, boys. I'll take a look at those like gambling predictions and shit like that. And as long as I kind of take care of myself, I go easy a little bit. We don't want Savage Ricky coming out for those bets, but I'll definitely have a look, man. And I really appreciate you boys for having me on.
Thanks a lot, Rick.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, boys. Good luck. Good luck this season with all your teams, pal?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Fuck yeah.